physically happening live on the structure in real time. You'll also notice that a particular shot that Drake's team chooses to focus on was specifically framed with the colors blue, green, and red, and at this point I'm sure everyone knows just how important these colors have been as it pertains to the rollout, and by the end of this stream, we see what those colors meant. This cost $15 million for just the tower, just that one stunt. When the intro track of Make Them Cry finishes, the scene switches and the episode opens up with a voice that we all recognize, DJ
That's what I'm
Akademiks.
saying, bro. 15 million on a fucking projection? Like, that's to him. Like, sometimes I'll be thinking, because I know I seen a video like maybe like 10 years ago. This nigga had, I don't know if he still has it, but he had like a $300 million bed. Or was it 30 million? Either or. My bed is probably worth 2 turkeys and a hen. And that nigga's sleeping on millions, literally. It's crazy. It's some shit you can aspire to, but it's like, at the same time, like, damn, 50 million on some projections? That 50 million could have goddamn ended homelessness in Toronto. I don't know. You know.
I've been waiting for 2 whole years for this album.
And honestly, I couldn't have been happier to see this happen, and you can even see my excitement in real time on the stream, because not only is Ak my friend, but he truly deserves this moment more than anyone else. For years now, he's been Drake's loudest and most loyal supporter, but something that people have
Turkeys in the hand. You gonna get dog bit.
held over his head is the fact that he had never met Drake in person. Even if you don't like Ak, I think you could admit that this was pretty dope and that the guy deserves it. We see Akademiks placed inside a vintage radio set, and that alone feels symbolic. Radio is part of the old industry. It's the world that Ak openly admitted he wanted to be accepted by, but they would never embrace him. But instead of waiting for those people to let him in, he just built his own thing. Akademiks started posting content to YouTube in 2012, and that decision changed the landscape of hip-hop media forever. He didn't come through traditional radio, he didn't come through a major network, he built his own platform and became impossible to ignore. One of the biggest themes around Iceman is directly linked to independence, and Akademiks is one of the clearest symbols of just that. I think Drake probably sees that in Ak, and that's what he really respects about him. As far as the visuals, we do see some old mixers. There is a Hennessy bottle in the set, which is a staple when it comes to Ak. We also have the red Lebanese logo on the wall. This company was heavily involved with the Plot Twist account, all the Iceman streams, and the zine that we got from Drake, which is also included in the set. By the way, I'm still doing a zine breakdown. I got like 12,000 words wrote for it. It's pretty close. In the segment, Akademiks is saying something we've heard from him many times before. He's talking about how Drake has frozen the industry out, and in a lot of ways, he did. Drake basically stopped doing features and stopped playing the role that he had been playing for his entire career. I see people try to argue this, but the data is more than clear. The guy simply stopped doing favors for the label, and it's very blatant. And that is Iceman, because when he did that, he literally changed the weather. Like, you know, people noticed. Once the segment from Ak ends, we see some beautiful drone shots of the city at night, and I wanted to make sure to highlight things like this because whoever captured this footage really did some outstanding work. We then hear the song Dust, which is the second track on the album, and it fits so perfect with the visuals, it's almost like the song was made for this moment. We see a line of women, all different nationalities, different backgrounds, standing together, waiting for the night to begin. They're all having fun and they don't think anything else of it. And really it's with this single shot where you see exactly what it means to be Canadian, and especially from a city like Toronto. What you see here is the reality of our culture, and we're proud of it. You know, I feel like most of us grew up with the understanding that, yeah, this place was built by a lot of people that didn't come from here, but they built something really dope, and we're proud of it. The line of women makes total sense because at the beginning of the track Dust, Drake is specifically talking to the ladies. He even mentions his previous album, Some Sexy Songs for You, acknowledging super early into the album that he hasn't forgotten about the women, but with Iceman he is on a whole other mission. This album isn't structured at all like a typical Drake project because it's literally all rap, and a large portion of the project, the guy's just rapping his ass off. The track then completely changes tone. When the beat drops, we get a much more dark and sinister energy. Then we see comedian Shane Gillis in the back of a police car, but he's not driving. He's a police officer waking up in the back seat while Drake's son Adonis and his friend are in the front controlling the wheel. Shane tells them to pull over, but the kids completely ignore him. This is a TPS, Toronto Police Service car, something you've probably heard Drake reference in his music before. A few visual details stand out. The license plate reads HACC 717, which was a request from Shane Gillis as it stands for Harrisburg Area Community College, and the 717 area code in Pennsylvania where he's from. They even changed the Ford emblem on the front and modified it to read Phil, which is Shane's father's name. Another detail I couldn't help but notice was the police car was numbered 2732, and this is actually direct from the Jewish Torah, and it means fear, anxiety, or trembling. The other thing that this video definitely focuses on is the colors of red and blue, which is not only something linked to the Iceman rollout itself, but you'll see these colors show up constantly throughout this episode 4 stream. These colors show up a lot. In the scene, the kids disobey Shane and go on a reckless drive through the city, and the whole video fits so perfectly with the track because it carries this aggressive, cold theme. However, casting Shane Gillis specifically is really interesting simply because he alluded to Drake liking younger girls back in 2019. This was a clip that went extremely viral during the battle with Kendrick in 2024 due to the nature of the angles that Kendrick took. Something that didn't go viral was the fact that Shane shortly after denied it and said he didn't mean it. With that said, you'll soon see that by using Shane Gillis in this scenario, it flips the claims on its head. First of all, Shane is a police officer with 2 younger boys, one of them being Drake's son, and that's already ironic, but really it's what Shane says at the end of the video that's really creative and interesting.
Those kids are awesome. I want to hang out with those kids. It's kind of weird. Fuck. The cameras are on.
So Shane basically says he feels like the kids are cool, even cool enough to hang out with, but then immediately catches himself because he realizes how weird that sounds coming from a grown man. You could see the panic set in once he remembers that everything is being filmed. Symbolically, this speaks to the reality of modern internet culture, where a single clip moment can completely override any sort of context. If that clip is Shane
I honestly do think his relationship with Millie Bobby is a little strange, or it was. Because she grown in foot now, and I ain't seen him with her once.
surfaced online by itself, people could easily twist it into something weird or creepy. It's really a commentary on just how fragile public image has become in this social media era. One awkward sentence or one photograph or poorly phrased joke, and suddenly the internet can build an entirely different narrative around you. Then at the end, Shane says this.
So I was in on this. They didn't trick me. I was doing a favor for Drake. Me and him are friends.
And what Shane says here is really just another layer, because if he actually believed any of those things about Drake, he definitely wouldn't be participating in any of this. Shane is just a comedian who said something he didn't mean, and he also turns out to be a massive fan of Drake. He's a big fan of Drake. His fandom is well documented. I heard that Shane spent over 14 hours on set that day and that his energy was overwhelmingly positive. And honestly, multiple people told me that Shane is a really good guy. But there is another layer that fits the storyline itself. Drake's son Adonis is one of the purest representations of Drake. They share the same DNA, so the whole scene could really be a greater metaphor for going against authority, directly disobeying the rules of a power structure, then running off free and getting away. In fact, it puts Adonis in the driver's seat with full control of the situation, whereas the entity who usually has the power is completely powerless, which sounds familiar when you look at Drake and what he's going through with his label. The scene then switches to a 1934 animated film called Jack Frost. In this film, all the animals of the kingdom are happy and content in the fall weather. However, they also know that winter is coming and they need to prepare and take shelter. All the animals are afraid of the winter except for this one stubborn grizzly bear. The bear is extremely ignorant to the danger and power of Mother Nature and feels like he's strong enough to withstand it.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to care. My coat is very furry. I'm simply grizzly bear.
The bear is basically saying, like, what do I have to worry about? I'm a grizzly bear, right? So the bear is completely unbothered. He believes he's too powerful to be affected by anything nature throws at him. Winter isn't a threat, at least not in his mind. But then Old Man Winter arrives. And with that, the temperature drops, the forest freezes over, and suddenly the bear realizes he grossly miscalculated. Desperate, he hides inside a hollow log, only for Old Man Winter to seal the entrance shut with icicles, trapping the bear inside a frozen prison. Symbolically, it seems to mirror the dynamic between Drake and UMG. The grizzly bear represents the major label system itself, especially UMG. Grizzly bears sit at the top of the food chain. They have virtually no natural predators. They dominate their environment through their size and power. That's exactly how major labels have operated for decades. They've historically controlled the industry, dictated the rules, and faced little real resistance from the artist. The system has always been designed in the label's favor, and Drake had plenty of references to this in the Iceman zine that he released. And just think about it, when the battle with Kendrick was allegedly finessed, UMG likely approached it with the confidence of being untouchable. Just like the bear, they really didn't fear any consequences. But Drake, the Iceman, changes the weather, and in this interpretation, Drake becomes Old Man Winter because he's a force capable of changing the entire environment around him. A force the bear, or UMG, never properly accounted for. That's what makes the imagery interesting. The bear is defeated because the conditions around him shift beyond his control. Another Easter egg with this cartoon is the fact that the bear could be a representation of Kendrick Lamar, given the fact that the state flag for California does have a bear on it, and it's not just any bear, it's specifically the California grizzly bear, which ironically is extinct or dead due to the fact that humans killed them all. We even see a pumpkin character in this scene which represents Drake's October's very own, but it morphs into a snowman signifying the Iceman era. With the Jack Frost cartoon, there is another layer here that makes it even more interesting. The cartoon was animated by a man named Ub Iwerks, one of the most important figures in animation history, and a man widely credited with helping to create Mickey Mouse alongside Walt Disney. However, Iwerks eventually became deeply resentful of Disney because he felt his contributions to Mickey Mouse and to the company's overall success were constantly being overlooked while Walt received all the credit. There's even a famous story where a child asked Walt Disney to draw him a Mickey Mouse on a napkin, and Walt handed the pen to Iwerks and said, "Why don't you draw Mickey and I'll sign it for them?" And supposedly Iwerks snapped and said, "Draw your own Mickey," before storming off. He storms off and he quits. He leaves Disney. He starts his own studio independently. And Jack Frost was one of those films that he created independently after separating from the machine that helped make him famous. That alone already parallels a major theme surrounding Drake and the music industry, the idea of an artist realizing their value inside a system that profits massively from their creativity while not fully respecting their contribution. A creator who helped build an empire, eventually reaching a breaking point with the people above him, just like Michael Jackson, Prince, and Drake. But then there's one more layer here that makes the symbolism even crazier. Jack Frost was produced using a color process.
That shit boring. I don't give a fuck. I didn't even listen to the album. I ain't gonna lie.